Skinamarink was directed by Kyle Edward Ball and is a new horror movie that is out in theaters right now. And this film is about two kids who in the middle of the night notice that their father is missing. And in trying to figure out where he is, some strange stuff starts happening around the place and they start seeing some weird things. And that's all really I can say because otherwise I'd be getting into some details which I don't think I should. I actually had to take a day to think about this because I saw it yesterday and then I had the whole day to basically marinate and think over it and think what exactly is it that I want to say, because I genuinely had a lot of thoughts on this and it's an interesting film. And that's the best thing that I can say about it, and it's one of the best things actually, because while I was watching it, I was definitely creeped out. I was definitely very unsettled. There are shots in it that definitely caught me off guard and moments that made me go back a little bit in my seat. But at the same time, there were so many questions and conversations that I wanted to have regarding its thematic elements. I had a phone call with my friend earlier. He had his theories. I'm not going to go into those here because that would involve spoiling the film, and I don't really want to do that. I think this is a film that everyone should watch just because I'm curious what everyone's takeaway from it would be. I'm also expecting the takeaways in some cases to be, I don't like this movie. I don't think this is a very good movie at all. I don't think anything over here is of merit. It's just not working. It's overhyped horror. I fully expect some of the reactions to go down that lane. At the same time, I also expect a lot of the reactions to be interesting and have a lot of questions attached to them, such as my own. And I'm curious to have conversations across the spectrum for it. But let me talk about the basic things that are to be praised in that. And for starters, let's talk about the way it's directed. I think Ball does an amazing job over here. It's such a subtly directed film that manages to use its very minimal setting. It's all taking place inside one house and use the creepy imagery that you see to some really great degrees. And despite the fact that the film has barely any dialogue, you have a lot of sound effects for sure. The sound design in this film is really, really good. But with very little to go off of in terms of like characters of what's going on and just about enough to infer what's going on, I think the film does an outstanding job of telling its story. And the cinematography that you get with it, which is like this old VHS tape from the 90s, except it's in widescreen format and it has this vinyl crackling sound effect all over it where it's like you can hear the noise really, really come through in the static. I thought that was really, really effective as well. And the imagery that you do get over here, again, very simple. And the film also does a really good job of making its shots count, which is if you want to see something incredibly creepy in Skinamarink, you will. There are shots where you will genuinely, like I said, be taken aback in your seat. It will happen. However, there's also shots that are just very simply a blank space in the corner of a wall. And the film sort of tries an attempt to make imaginations of children come alive as much as possible in some moments. So while you don't see anything, there are points where you'll think something's there. And you'll, as an audience member, immediately start to wonder, is that wall completely empty? Is that blank? Or is there something over there staring back at me, or is something going to come at me? And the film uses this kind of space to really great degree. And the children who are in the film, again, you don't really see their faces. You hear their voices the most throughout the entire film. Is this one young girl and one young boy. I think they're really good in it. And it, again, that captures the elemental like fear and confusion that is happening because it's a very unexplained horror phenomena that is going on inside their house. Like sometimes the TV will start doing weird things going on and off, something will escalate, something will drop, and there's all kinds of bizarre things that as an audience member you're not going to immediately grasp, and it might take a while and a few other other interpretations, of course, in order to fully sort of latch on to what exactly it is that Ball is trying to do. Who, by the way, has also gone on record in some cases saying, I don't know how some of the things work. Some scenes just happen and there's images that are there for the sake of the fact that it's there. Or That's his way of probably trying to not answer the questions, which I kind of respect. I would appreciate that, because you don't need answers for everything. You don't need everything to sort of be given to you or handed to you on a silver platter. I respect the filmmaking on display that manages to slowly give you what it has to give you, but also let you try and figure out what it is trying to say and what it's trying to do. I've seen 4 or 5 different interpretations of the entire plot and what exactly each image means. I had one of those interpretations. My friend had another interpretation. Everyone I know has had a different take on this thing, which is why it goes back to that point I made at the very start of the review, which is I'm curious to hear what others have to say about it. I want to talk about jump scares for a moment, because for a while, even to this day, they're sort of treated as a pariah. Like, hey, we don't want to do jump scares. It's a very lazy way of doing things. I find this to be untrue, mostly because some are very effective. It's all about execution. Like, it's one thing to just be like, oh, there's a character who's noticing, like, in the background, like, turns around, sees nothing, and then suddenly, whoosh, that is done, and, we were past this at this point. Like, we're at the point where it's like, the music lowers suddenly, and then, boom! There's nothing like that when it comes to Skinamarink. But whenever it does have these moments where something will just appear in frame, or the flashlight will suddenly look at something and you'll suddenly hear this sharp noise, it's also used in such an effective way with a very good payoff element to it. And the way that builds into that, I thought was really, really effective. I'm not gonna forget Skinamarink for a while. I feel like there are scenes in this which are going to be etched into my memory for a while, certain shots in particular that I'm not gonna be able to get out of my head. And in some cases, it has given some legit nightmares to people that I know, which does not surprise me again in the slightest. It's a film that's very unnerving and very creepy. It's not something I'd recommend to someone who is not particularly, into horror. Like, if you're somebody who's very easily scared, then pace yourself with this one, or just, I don't know what I would say. But overall, I thought this was a very fascinating experience, and one that I do look forward to revisiting. I'm not sure what grade to give it yet. I mean, it's somewhere high up. I'm not sure of the number, so I'm not gonna do that, but I do recommend seeing it. I do recommend checking it out. And I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on the film. And if you have seen the movie, let me know what those are in the comments down below, because I'm very interested on, from those perspectives. As always, if you like this, guys, please do subscribe. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you guys at the movies.